Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the October 5th, Wednesday, Dare County Board of Commissioners meeting. Nice, cool fall day. Hopefully this remnants of this storm will get the heck out of here. It's been hanging around for 2 or 3 days, but and we'll see a little bit warmer weather.
Feels like Thanksgiving out there, Mr. Chairman.
Feels
like Thanksgiving.
It does. It sure does, Commissioner. I'd like to call on Spotswood Graves this morning for an invocation. Welcome, Spotswood.
Thank you. Let us worship God. Let us pray. Lord God, creator and owner of all that is, we come to you this day in awe of your power. The floods have lifted up their voice, O Lord. And we daily see the power of water, particularly when it is in places we would not like it to go. Before your power, our efforts seem punty. We travel through space at thousands of miles per hour, and yet we do not fall off this little speck of rock among all of the other heavenly bodies. In the midst of all of this, you have created life and placed us together in human society. We thank you for life in this day and for sustaining us and giving us life to rise up to be here this day, for the measure of health we have and well-being. As we think of our life here, we lift up our prayers for those who are in great stress, for those seeking to feed their families and have a home, for children wanting care and love, even animals. During this season, we give you thanks for representative government, for those who would serve us sitting before us here this day. For police and fire and medical care, for regulatory agencies. During this time of elections, grant us fair and respected elections. We give thanks for all who stand as candidates and those who help to administer our vote. Lord God, we are astounded that you who give all of life can know the hearts of each of us. And we are also astounded that the power of individuals changes lives and societies. Give us the ability to see each other as fellow citizens, as fellows of your creatures. Give us the ability to listen and to speak respectfully. We thank you that we trust that you have an all-encompassing purpose, and that is to bring all of your creation into unity, into fairness, with hope, compassion, and love. This is our prayer. In the name of all that is holy. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Reverend. May we stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. County Manager.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Item 1 on the agenda is the chairman's opening remarks.
Okay, thank you, County Manager. I only have a couple of things this morning, but before I get started, we have a special guest with us this morning, Mr. Paul O'Neill, who is former chairman of the College of the Albemarle, former chairman of Currituck Board of Commissioners, and has just recently been appointed to replace Mr. Haney's position as our representative in the House. And I'd like to recognize Mr. Paul O'Neill if he has a few comments he'd like to make. He's also a former co-worker. As of last Friday, I retired. Come on up, Mr. O'Neill.
I noticed the chairman has a little spring in his step since last Friday. Commissioners, manager, and staff, it is an honor to be here today and to say a few words. As I came in this morning, it kind of felt familiar to me. As I looked in the back, I see people that I've known, old classmate I went to school with, Nearest. And she's been working here for, I guess, about 30 years. She left Currituck, never came back. So anyways, it is an honor to be here this morning. And as Chairman spoke, I was a commissioner in Currituck for 20 years, and I worked with a lot of the Dare County commissioners over the years and the manager on a lot of different issues. And one that I'm most proud of is the work that we did to get the new College of the Albemarle building here in Dare County. Y'all did a magnificent job with that building, and Dare County should certainly be proud of that. And it's going to change a lot of people's lives. And I don't really have a whole lot to say. I spent a lot of time in Dare County as a young man. My grandfather and daddy, we would go to the Oregon Inlet and go fishing. Back in the day, we could go to Southern Shores and actually go on the beach and go fishing. And then as a young man, I spent a lot of time running the roads up and down in Dare County, so it's very much a second home to me. And I've always had an affinity in my heart for Dare County. So I will be finishing Representative Hanig's term for the next 3 months. I don't expect a whole lot of action. I've been told that maybe in December we could go in session and maybe take a few votes to clean up before the new term starts. So I know that I'm not aware of everything that you have going on right now, but I certainly am open and available and willing to help Dare County in any way that I can with some of the issues that you're working on. I know the county manager and the chairman who has that skip in his step will certainly let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you. And it's a humbling experience, and I'm thankful that I do have this opportunity to kind of cap off my years of service. So if there's anything I can do, I will certainly do my best to help the good people of Dare County. And thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate you stepping up to the plate and doing that. I know we can certainly count on you if need be. Just a couple of announcements I'd like to make. On Thursday, October the 13th, we will be holding a community day and christening event for the Miss Katie here in Wanchese. Dare County, along with EJE Dredging Service, will hold a christening ceremony and have a community day in Wanchese to honor the Miss Katie, which is, all of you are aware of this new 156-foot-long shallow draft hopper dredge that we had a public-private partnership with the state. And thanks to Jim Tobin and the task force, Oregon Inlet Task Force, of making that happen. The event will take place from 10 to 4, and the general public certainly has an opportunity to stop by, and they can certainly take a tour of the dredge. And there'll be some music that afternoon and some light refreshments. So I encourage anyone that has not seen the Miss Katie to take advantage of this and show up and take a tour. It's quite a vessel. I had an opportunity to ride it in from the inlet into Wanchese, and it's quite impressive piece of equipment. So take advantage of this. The actual christening will take place at about 4 o'clock that afternoon on the 13th of October. I'm sorry to report that William C. Smith of Kill Devil Hills passed away this past Friday. Bill was 85 years old. He was a lieutenant commander in the United States, retired from the Navy. He was born in Akron, Ohio in 1936. He actually enlisted in the Navy at age 18, and he was selected for the Naval Enlisted Scientific Education Program, and he graduated from Marquette University in 1963. He has a master's degree in electrical engineering from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. During the Vietnam War, he served as on the USS Midway, the USS Kitty Hawk, and the USS Constellation. Upon his retirement, he actually moved himself and his family to Kill Devil Hills in 1977, and he actually worked for Davis Boat Works in Wanchese. He became a boatwright and a highly sought-after fine cabinetry woodworker. He also served as chairman of the Kill Devil Hills Planning Board from 1984 to 2005, some 21 years, and I had the pleasure of serving on that board with him for 4 years in Kill Devil Hills. And he's survived by his wife and 3 sons and 5 grandchildren. So please keep that family in your thoughts and prayers. Bill was quite a historian too. He was quite an individual, and really worked hard for the town of Kill Devil Hills on their planning board for so many years. And certainly, last but not least, we're blessed, so blessed in Dare County. We've been fortunate this season. We'll hold on a little bit longer, hold our breath a little bit longer for these storms to come in and get the heck out of here. But please keep the folks in Florida in your thoughts and prayers from this recent hurricane. The devastation that I've seen photos of is just unbelievable. It's going to take them years to recover, and I believe the death toll is over 100 now. So please keep those folks in Florida in your thoughts and prayers. And with that being said, I'll turn it back over to the county manager.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, item 2 on the agenda is a presentation of the county service pins. We have 2 this morning. First on our list, we have Brent Dowdy receiving his 10-year pin from Sheriff Dowdy.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for letting us do this. Long time ago, 10 years ago, I stood before another group. There may have been one or two of y'all in there when I had to ask permission for Brent to come to work with us. That was one of the things. The sheriff can't do that by himself. So I appreciate the fact that you were willing to take a chance and honor my request. And so far, we've got 10 years along the way, and neither one of us have gotten in enough trouble to be gone anywhere. So I appreciate that, and we're going to try to make it a few more. Never knew, exactly what it would be like to work with your son. It's been a blessing to me. I don't know if he feels that way. I'm sure there were some days he'd rather not see me, and there was probably some days I'd rather not seen him. But he does a very good job for me. He's been all over. When we started the impact unit some years back, when we were full before the pandemic came, where you could actually get people to come to work, and we were a little bit more heavy, we actually had a group, and he was one of the first 3 that were in that. And they did a lot of work. They did a lot of things for a lot of people, not only enforce the law, but help people that were in trouble, those that were, use drugs, that we would try to make sure that, we would target, and not only just, try to make sure that they got the law enforcement in, but they also got the benefit of being looked after too. That if we could help them out and get them somewhere, they actually did that. So we were kind of putting police officers along with, and being probation officers, and kind of being social service. At the same time, we were doing 2 or 3 functions, and it worked really well. And like I say, he was one of the ones that did that along with Buddy Ruth and Tommy Neiman, and it made a big difference for a long time. So now he works in the court system. He works mostly Superior Court with Judge Tillett. They get along really good, which is good for me. It makes it really nice, and I hope we have a few more years left. And I'm in uniform today. The first picture we had taken when he got into law enforcement, he was a Gates County deputy. He got sworn in there before I got in here, and I believe I was in a duck uniform. So I don't wear this uniform much, but I thought it would be fitting to wear it today just for him. He's special, and it's nice to have him here. Everybody doesn't get to work with their son, and vice versa. So we've had a good time, and we've got a few more years to do that together if the good Lord sees fit. So thank you, gentlemen, very much. Congratulations, big dog.
Good stuff,
Hold on. Get some pictures.
Thank you very much.
Hold on, Doug.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, you done well. I was here 10 years ago when you asked that request of us, and it was, back then it was a no-brainer for us. And I can tell you right now, you've done extremely well, because he is one fine young man. He has always come up to me at meetings and said, Mr. Chairman, anything you need, you let me know. I got your back. I got this board's back. Fine young man, and I know you are proud of him.
He will definitely do
we
that,
are
and
well.
always have. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Next, we have Josh Coltrane to receive his 15-year pin from Sheila Davies.
Sheila, Josh, welcome this morning.
Good morning. It is my pleasure this morning to present Josh with his 15-year service pin. Josh is a lifetime Dare County resident. He grew up in Wanchese, graduated from Manio High School, and then graduated from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Josh started with Dare County as an environmental health specialist in October of 2007, just months after graduating college. He was promoted to senior environmental health specialist in July of 2018, and then was promoted to his current position of environmental health supervisor in December of 2018. Josh follows in the leadership footsteps of 2 environmental health greats, Jack Fyfe, you probably remember, and Fred Parker. And interestingly, with Jack and Fred combined, they have over 70 years of service to Dare County.
Wow.
And now with Josh, adding his 15 years, we're over 90 years of service. Pretty amazing, and such a gift to Dare County with that institutional knowledge and just dedication. And fortunately, as young as he is, I hope that we're going to be well over 100 years of service by the time he decides to retire. So, being in environmental health is not easy. If you think about the work they're doing, they're often doing inspections, whether announced or unannounced. And I dare say that anyone wakes up with a business or institution and looks at their calendar and goes, yay, I'm getting inspected today by public health. They walk into sometimes some really difficult situations, but always they're there with the spirit of ensuring that we're meeting codes and regulations. Environmental health is state regulated, and that it's all in the spirit of protecting the public health, whether it's in on-site wastewater or food and lodging inspections or childcare inspections. Josh and his team do it with the right spirit and always exemplify great customer service, even in this type of work where you're getting, you're walking into tough situations and telling people sometimes things they don't want to hear. We still get letters of accolades and compliments on the service of Josh and his team. Josh personally holds all 7 of the state authorizations. That's the max you can hold, and he has all of them. Child-led poisoning prevention, private wells, pools, tattoos, school and child care centers, food and lodging, and on-site wastewater. And all of these authorizations require both a written and field exam, and then maintaining annual continuing education credits. So he has been instrumental this last year and beyond, where we've been short-staffed, jumping in and filling multiple roles, doing lots of field work beyond what typically happens if we were adequately staffed in a supervisor role. Josh is a wealth of knowledge and professionalism and does an outstanding job for Dare County. Josh is also a great family man. He is married, and he and his wife Jackie, who met in 1st grade here in Dare County. Pretty amazing.
No. First grade.
1st grade.
Wow.
They didn't start dating then, but
Wow.
they met in 1st grade.
Thank you for that clarification.
They have 3 boys, Carson, who's 12, Archer, who's 10, and Reed, who's 5. The family travels together, frequently making time for vacations to Florida, Disney, and the mountains. Josh loves the outdoors and shares that passion with his family, whether it's hunting, fishing, or a passion for baseball. And Josh has served for numerous years as a youth sports coach, a baseball coach, with many successes on and off the field. Josh is truly an asset to Dare County and an all-around just awesome person. And I feel proud of the work he does and blessed to work with him. So congratulations on 15 years, and I look forward to many more working together.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Chairman, that brings us to our Employee of the Month, and I'd ask Jack Scarborough to come forward to make that presentation.
Me?
Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning. Thank you. It's a great honor to be here for the 2nd time this year representing the Communications Center and our wonderful, amazing employees. And today, the County Employee of the Month that was chosen was Stephen Stetson. He had no idea. He thinks he's here to help me with something else. He's been racking his brain thinking about questions that he might be asking this next thing or later on. Stephen is our systems administrator. He's never seen, really. He's all the time in the computer room. He's working. But if the phone system goes down at the 911 center, Stephen has to fix it. If the CAD system that serves all of Dare, Hyde, and Terrell's public safety, law, fire, and EMS goes down, Stephen has to fix it. If anything happens at the 911 center that affects anything with the service we provide, he's the one-man show. He also is in charge of all of our computers in the sheriff's office, the laptops in the cars, the desktops in the main office. He keeps all of them running. And then, as everybody knows, the first of the year we embarked on a new CAD program we purchased, and we've started implementing it. And I've talked to PSAP directors all over the state, and they're having issues with their CAD system. And I said, our stuff is going so smooth. Why is it going so smooth? Our project manager and all of our trainers said it's because you have a brilliant mind with you. You have the most amazing person we have ever seen to ever work on CAD systems, public safety, or anything, and that's Steven Stetson. He has made this project an absolute dream. Everything is going so smoothly. We've moved up our go-live date by a month because of all the hard work he does. He's responsible to the sheriff's office, but he helps EMS. They'll call him anytime, or police officers all over the county, problems with their computers. He comes to work smiling just like this every day. Anytime I bring something new to him, we come in the morning, we're sitting around talking, Stephen, what do you think, can we do this? Yes, sir, we can do it, knowing that he's got 13,000 other things to do. But he's just an absolute amazing person. He does so much. He does not want any recognition, and he has no idea how valuable he is to public safety in Dare, Hyde, and Terrell counties. And there's nothing I can do to say enough to tell him how much he means to our organization and all of public safety. He's just a great person and just amazingly brilliant. So, Stephen, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just make a quick comment about Steve, if I could. Sure.
Congratulations, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Stephen?
much. Thank you.
Stephen?
Stephen.
I just want to share something. In my career, I've spent a lot of time on systems development, building, and there's an old adage when you're working a system, on time, on budget, and it works, pick two. You'll never get all three. I think, Mr. Chairman, we may have witnessed one of the first instances where we get all three, so thank you, Steve.
Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you.
Before we go to public comment, those of you that just received an award, if you'll please go right out this door to get a picture made.
Little baby with that bow in her hair.
To Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Have a good rest of the week. Thank you.
Take care of them clients.
I changed my number, Paul.
Listen, take care of my clients.
Ladies and gentlemen, now's the time that's been set aside for public comment. If you have public comment this morning and you've not signed up, raise your hand. I'll recognize you. When I do, please come to the podium. State your name and where you're from. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. There's a red light up on the podium that comes on when a green light that comes on when your time begins, a yellow light that'll come on when you have about a minute left, and a red light that'll come on when you need to conclude your remarks. On my sign-up sheet, first I have Spotswood Graves.
Welcome again, Spotswood.
Thank you, sir.
I don't need a copy. Thank you.
I'm Spotswood Graves. I live in Kill Devil Hills. And I come to present a proclamation, a pastoral statement by the North Dare County Ministerial Association. Some of you I have given you copies of that. The Supreme Court decision ending the federal protection of Roe versus Wade was announced earlier this summer. Religious groups, organizations, and institutions are processing the results of the decision, and religious pastors and ministers are dealing with the grief and anger that may be present for some time in our community. The members of the North Dare County Ministerial Association have discussed, grappled with, and prayed over the decision that took away the rights that women have held for 50 years. The North Dare County Ministerial Association is an interfaith association consisting of religious leaders of parishes and congregations, community ministers, and retired ministers. And while acknowledging the varying positions that the association members and their religious institutions may hold on abortion, as an association, we wished humbly and in faith to contribute our voice in pastoral support of all those who are affected by the Supreme Court decision. And we hope that our statement can act as a model for honest and respectful discussion among people of faith. We wish to affirm the complexity of the issue and the truth of diversity of opinions, teachings, and beliefs needing to be acknowledged in the historical context of religion and reproductive rights, such as the fact that Baptists were pro-choice until the 1970s. People of the Jewish and Unitarian Universalist faith and others express concern that bans on abortion violate their religious freedoms. We know that outlawing abortion will not end abortion. Demographics across this country show that 1 in 4 women have had abortion, no matter what their religious affiliation. Women will continue to search for safe and accessible reproductive health care services. We deplore criminalizing women for attempting to exercise their right to reproductive choice, which is already making suspects of pregnant women who have natural miscarriages. We are concerned that the absence of exception for rape or incest in new abortion laws could result in forced birth for victims of violent crimes. We recognize that even prior to the Supreme Court decision, many people of color, indigenous people, people with disabilities, people from rural areas, undocumented workers, people with low incomes are most affected by the restrictions or bans on access to abortion care. There are also concerns about the social cost of uncherished children and the potential cost to our community. Opponents of abortion are urged to see a pro-life stance as a commitment to continued quality of life once children are born. These points go into our consideration of compassionate and loving concern. Compassionate and loving response we as ministers and religious leaders want to offer to all those affected by the Supreme Court decision. Our key pastoral concern is to let them know that we recognize the suffering in making their decisions about health care and that they are not alone. Our commitment to the worth and dignity of every human being, our respect for every human life, for all human life, calls us to respect the autonomy of women and men in determining their own health care decisions and choices. In this country, individuals and communities should be able to claim the right to safety, health, and sustainability. The well-being of women, and especially pregnant women, depends upon comprehensive health care, which includes reproductive care, and before that, comprehensive sexuality and education, which endows young people with responsibility and respect for their bodies. Beyond issues of reproductive health, let us respect the sacred right of discernment for each person as we live responsible lives. And while we affirm the separation of church and state, we urge citizens of all faiths and none to think about how the Supreme Court decision impacts our lives and what religious communities can do to support persons and families who find themselves making difficult decisions about reproductive health care. Members of religious communities can exercise the right to vote, electing those public servants who value life, freedom, and autonomy as central to our democracy. The members of the North Dare Ministerial Association who signed the statement below do so to encourage faith communities of the Outer Banks to exercise compassion and love when encountering those who are most vulnerable, and to act as people of faith and integrity to protect and support the rights of women and men equally. Thank you.
Thank you, Sponsor.
Next is Willow Kelly.
Welcome this morning, Willa.
Good morning, Chairman Woodard, Commissioners. I'm Willow Kelly. I'm CEO of the Outer Banks Association of Realtors, and I'm here with some good news. I served as the Government Affairs Director for the Home Builders and the Realtors from 2006 to 2018 before becoming CEO of the Outer Banks Association of Realtors. Following my tenure there as Government Affairs Director, we had Porter Graham, and we continued our longstanding working relationship together and working on many issues such as property insurance, flood insurance, climate change issues, and more. So we go way back on a lot of things. I'm here today with Government Affairs Committee Chair Rosemarie Dozier, and we are here to announce the hiring of our new Government Affairs Director, who is no stranger to Dare County, and we are very excited to introduce Donna Creef, who just started this week as our Government Affairs Director.
What was her name again?
Yeah, what is her name again?
What are her qualifications?
Overqualified, trust me, overqualified. So we're very excited, and you'll be seeing Donna at meetings, and we look forward to continuing our longstanding working relationship. Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Congratulations, Donna.
Yeah, Donna.
I'm very excited about this, and most importantly, I'll be glad to stand on this side of the podium and not have you guys throw things at me that I won't expect.
Oh, we still gonna ask hard questions.
We'll see how that works.
Very excited to be
Willa,
working with Donna.
what's the title again, please?
She is the Government Affairs Director,
Thank you.
the Outer Banks Association of Realtors, and overseeing the Government Affairs program. I'm really excited to be working with Donna, so, and as our Government Affairs Committee as well. So we'll be seeing you
So
again.
you'll be seeing me.
Congratulations.
Different capacity. Thank you.
Any other public comment this morning? Anyone else like to speak at public comment? Seeing none here, any public comment in Buxton?
No comment from Buxton.
That, Mr. Chairman, we close the public comment and move to item 5. This is the Little School of Fish Child Care Facility, a special use permit application, and Noah Gillum's here for that one.
Good morning, Noah.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners.
Jeff, before we start, just for the record,
Yes,
they've
sir.
both been sworn
Okay,
already.
thank you, County Manager.
A special use permit application has been submitted by Ms. Elizabeth Shiflett for a proposed child care facility at the Manio Faith Baptist Church. The property is located at 1037 Burnside Road here on Roanoke Island. The property is zoned RS8 and child care facilities as an accessory use to an existing church, school, or other public building are permitted subject to special use permit review. The applicant is proposing to operate 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and no more than 4 hours a day. Operating on this schedule allows the applicant to provide child care services without licensing requirements from the state of North Carolina. When operating a licensed child care center, the state requires a ratio of students to staff based on the children's age and places a cap on the number of students allowed to be supervised. Although not licensed, the applicant is basing their structure on these requirements and is proposing to have 2 staff members and a maximum of 25 students. Conditions have been added to the draft SUP to reflect these limits. The applicant has met with the Dare County Fire Marshal and staff from the church to determine what areas of the church meet the code requirements for a child care facility and have determined that the fellowship hall meets the requirements of the fire code and the North Carolina Building Code for a child care center. All child care activities shall be limited to the fellowship hall and the fenced outdoor area. The existing parking for the church will serve as the parking area and pickup/drop-off for the child care facility. The Dare County Planning Board reviewed the special use permit at their September 12th, 2022 meeting. The conditions in the SUP were identified by the Planning Board and recommended as reasonable and appropriate conditions to apply to the proposed use. The draft SUP is attached to this memo for the board's review. The notice procedures for quasi-judicial hearings were followed. The property was posted and the adjoining property owners notified. and Ms. Shiflett is here to answer any questions that y'all might have.
Good morning.
Welcome, Ms. Shiflett.
Thank you.
This is great. I was looking through this, trying to find it. Is there age group?
The target is 2.5 and potty trained to kindergarten ready.
Gotcha. So, and maximum, I believe, of 25?
That's the allowable maximum,
Right.
but for my sanity, I think I'll keep it to less than 20.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else have any questions?
I do, Bo.
Yes.
Ms. Shipper, thank you for doing this. This is something, obviously, that's a terrific need in
Yes,
Dare
sir.
County. And reading through the documentation that came with this and going through the North Carolina Child Care Law and Rules, I read through those, some of which I guess those are the ones that apply if you're licensed, but a lot of them make a lot of sense.
Yes, sir.
And just was going to ask, just for a matter of record, that you plan to follow these guidelines,
Oh, yes.
I expect, very closely. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I worked in corporate legal compliance for over 10 years before this, so it's important to me to be compliant even if I don't pursue licensing.
Right, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you. And
Yes,
again,
sir.
thank you for taking this on. This is not a small endeavor, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited for this new chapter.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, if I could just comment, I'm affirming everything that's just been said. And Elizabeth, I'm reading from the document, A Holistic View of Health and Education. You firmly believe that positive early childhood experiences have positive early associations with education and sets up for a lifelong love of learning and improved health. I'm going to look down at Vice Chairman Overman. We have spent some time in meetings, briefings on adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, the subsequent impacts or ramifications down the road. I view this as just vital. So God bless, amen.
Thank you.
Let's do this. And also, your sample daily schedule was
yes, sir.
quite interesting to read. That's a full day. I could squeeze that in
It is
4
a full
hours.
day, but the plan is to keep them entertained.
Yeah, well, you're gonna be glad to get home in the evening and get some
Oh,
rest for the
I think
next
I'll
day.
need a nap time too.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, then, I'll ask what the you go ahead, Commissioner Baker.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
I move that SUP.
Sorry, I had to interrupt. Before you do that, let me ask those 3 questions.
Oh, okay.
It'll be
I
on the
thought-
record
okay,
before you
gotcha.
vote.
Absolutely.
First, do you stipulate that the file that's been provided to the county can be entered into evidence in this matter?
Absolutely.
And do you stipulate to the evidence and the facts that are presented by Mr. Gillum this morning?
Yes, sir.
And finally, do you agree and consent to the special use permit that, as drafted?
Yes. Thank you.
That'd be it, Mr.
Well,
Chairman.
thank you, County Manager. Commissioner Bateman.
Okay, I move that special use permit number 5-2022 for the proposed child care facility at Manio Faith Baptist Church be approved.
Second.
Okay, it's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bateman. It's been seconded by Commissioner House and the Vice Chairman Overman. Any further questions? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Good
Thank
luck
you.
to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Chairman, that brings us to item 6 on the agenda. This is a zoning amendment to the R2B zoning district to allow a pet crematorium as an accessory use to pet grooming kennel facilities. And Noah's here for that as well.
Ms. Pam Anderson has submitted a text amendment request to the R2B zoning district. She is seeking the addition of pet crematoriums to the list of uses offered in the areas zoned R2B. The R2B district applies to portions of Collington and is intended to encourage the development of moderate-density residential neighborhoods to serve as a transition zone between low-density areas and more intensely developed areas and provide a setting for a limited number of business uses associated with a coastal village location. Any text amendment to the R2B district would apply to all lands zoned R2B. And today we're requesting that a public hearing be held on November 7th to follow the proceedings that are required. And Ms. Anderson's here today. She can answer any questions, but the motion to be approved today would be to
Set a public
hearing. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm certainly open for the board to ask any questions at this point in time, if they have any, but we will, as he said, the motion needs to be hold a public hearing on November 7th.
So moved.
Okay. There's a motion then on the floor by Commissioner Tobin to set that public hearing November the 7th. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bateman and House. Any further discussion? Hearing any, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Noah.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Item 7, Mr. Chairman, is a proclamation for Fire Prevention Week, the 100th anniversary, and with your permission, I'll read the proclamation.
Yes, sir.
Whereas Dare County, North Carolina is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all living in and visiting Dare County, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire, and whereas home fires killed more than 2,580 people in the United States in 2020, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 356,500 home fires. Whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before we can, alerting us to danger in the event of fire, in which we may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas Dare County residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan at least twice a year during the day and night are more prepared and therefore more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Dare County residents should make sure their smoke and carbon monoxide alarms meet the needs of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half and should be installed in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. When the smoke alarm sounds, every occupant of the home should respond by going outside immediately to the designated meeting place. And whereas Dare County's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas the 2022 Fire Prevention Week 100th anniversary theme, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, works to educate everyone about simple, important actions they can take, including preparing a home fire escape plan to keep themselves and those around them safe from home fires. Now, therefore, the Dare County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim October 9th through 15th, 2022, as Fire Prevention Week in Dare County, and urges all citizens to plan and practice a home fire escape and to support the many public safety activities and the efforts of Dare County and surrounding area fire and emergency services. This is the 5th day of October 2022.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner House, seconded. Seconded by Commissioner Tobin. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would
Yes,
like
sir.
to make one comment. Escape routes in any structure are paramount to life safety in the event of a fire. I would like to also recommend before this board that throughout this month, every county building should have a fire alarm simulation to study the evacuation and safety areas for all county employees.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 8 on the agenda.
Wait a minute. Look, we got to
I'm sorry.
vote. We got to vote on this proclamation. Those in favor of the proclamation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Sorry.
That's all right. Now we'll move to item 8. Item 8 is the presentation of the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and I'll turn that back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. At this time, I would like to formally recognize our Finance Director, Dave Clausen, and our Assistant Finance Director, Ms. Sally DeFosse, as well as the entire Finance Department. This is a major accomplishment for any county that's reached or achieved its 31st consecutive year of receiving the prestigious Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This incredible honor was recently awarded to Dare County by the Government Finances Office Association of the county's comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending certainly June 30, 2021. This is certainly quite the accomplishment for Dare County because the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting is the highest form of recognition that is in government accounting and financial reporting. This Government Finance Office Association established this in 1945 in an effort to encourage state and local governments to go above and beyond the minimum requirements by preparing an annual comprehensive financial report that is fully transparent, and it also embodies a spirit of full disclosure to the community it serves. And certainly to be eligible for this achievement and excellence, our finance department was tasked with taking some very complicated financial information and transforming it into a single comprehensive document that's easy for me to read and our fellow citizens to not only access but to navigate and certainly to understand regardless of the level of the familiarity of financial concepts. Producing an annual comprehensive financial report that meets the lofty requirements to be considered for the award is no small task. And it represents a significant accomplishment by local governments, particularly when it's achieved every single year for more than 3 decades. 3 decades. I'd like to recognize our finance director, Mr. Clausen. It should be no surprise to anyone here today or anyone listening that the county's been awarded the Certificate of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting ever since Dave Clausen started working as our finance director. I can't say enough, Dave. I've said it many, many times that you've forgotten more than I ever knew about finances. And the talent you have and your team that you've put together for our finance department is certainly second to none throughout the state. You're an effective leader in your department, and it's reflected in the success of your team. And I commend you for this high honor that you've achieved for Dare County. Sally, once again, Dave's sidekick and assistant, I want to recognize you as well, which you play an integral role in the production of this award every single year as well. As Assistant Finance Director, you're responsible for performing many of the duties that directly pertain to the development of the county's budget each year, as well as certainly the creation of the county's annual comprehensive financial report. Your contributions to the finance department and to Dare County are tremendous, and your efforts are certainly essential for our success. I want to thank you for all of your hard work as well and for your commitment and dedication to Dare County. And I'd like for both of y'all, if you will, to join me down front so I have some special presentations to make. I've done this plaque here for a number of years, and I swear to God, it weighs a ton.
Need a bigger plaque.
I mean, wait till you see Sally's. This is a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting is presented to Dare County. I guess we're going to put 2021 on here, but this one goes back to 12, we've got another one that goes back even further.
Bunch in the lobby.
But and that's already hanging in the lobby. I'm sure the wall's gonna fall down when they hang it, because that one's pretty heavy. Now, I don't know what this speaks of, but Sally, you get a little bit bigger one. So, this one here is Award for Financial Reporting Achievement, and it's presented to you as the Assistant Finance Director of Dare County, and it's signed by Christopher Morrell, the Executive Director of the Government Finance Office Association of the United States of Canada. And do you have enough room on your wall to hang another one of these?
We actually use the same frame.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I figured. Congratulations. Go ahead and we'll get a picture.
Good use of county dollars right there.
That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible, guys. I think you can speak to this, Commissioner Ross, knowing your financial background. This is pretty strong.
I kind of look at myself as sort of the unofficial finance guy on this board, and yeah, I had prepared some remarks, but Mr. Chairman, quite frankly, you said it far better than I. So, Sally, Dave, fantastic job, and thank you.
Spectacular.
Yeah, super.
It's like with a lot of county governments, in the finance department, this is the standard, and you achieve to get these type of achievements as excellent. It's good to know that our county, that excellence is our standard, and thank you both very much for that.
All right, County Manager.
Yes, sir. Item number 9 on the agenda is the reimbursement resolutions for the Series 2023 A and B limited obligation bonds, and Dave Clausen will make that presentation.
Before I start that, thank you all. Really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Last time I looked, there was less than 40 counties in North Carolina that normally get the certificate. But all right, you've seen reimbursement resolutions before. As you know, you've got EMS projects coming up. Phase 1, which is Killable Hills, Southern Shores, and the Dare Med-Flight Hangar. We're planning on issuing bonds for those in February, to be on the February LGC agenda for approval. Phase 2 will be later on in the calendar year 23, which is Manio Frisco, Mans Harbor, and Manio Youth Center. We're calling those a 23B in reality with the restrictions on the LGC calendar now. It's probably going to be February of 24. We talked yesterday with a banker, and there's 2 units on the agendas for November, December, and January because you can't meet the requirements to be on it. But at any rate, in order to issue tax-exempt debt, you have to do these reimbursement resolutions so that you can, you go ahead and start on the projects. We're paying the architects, we're paying Barnhill. They're here today looking at sites. So we pay those expenditures, and once we close on the debt, we pay ourselves back out of the debt proceeds. And you have to have these resolutions in place in order to do that. So I'm asking you to pass 2 resolutions.
Okay. Get ready to say they're rather long. I know we've had a chance to look. I know you've had a chance to look at these.
Yes,
we saw
we've
it.
read them. We've read them.
Right. I figured so. All right. Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House to adopt
Both resolutions.
both resolutions.
Second.
Is there a second by Vice
Second.
Chairman Overman
Oh.
and Commissioner Ross? Any further comments? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dave.
Should that bring us to our consent agenda? On the consent agenda, you have the approval of the minutes from September 6th. You have an MOA with the town of Killable Hills for the use of the fuel pumps for our EMS. You have Health and Human Services and Social Services, SNAP, and ARPA funding budget amendment. And you have a VHF paging system for the Dare County Emergency Communications Fire EMS paging.
Motion to approve.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Captain Scarborough can breathe now, so you can breathe now. Next on the agenda is the upcoming board and committee appointments. In November, you have the Older Adult Services Advisory Council with 2 terms expiring. In December, you have the Equalization and Review Board with 5 terms expiring, the Special Motor Valuation Review Committee with 3 terms expiring, and the Tourism Board with 6 terms expiring. And then in January, you have the Working Waterman Commission with 4 terms expiring. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that would be your agenda.
All right, thank you, County Manager. That brings us to item 12, which is Commissioner's business and County Manager's Attorney's business. Commissioner Couch, would you kick that off this morning, please?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a whole lot to say down in my district. I represent District 4, steady as she goes. Still a lot of people running around, but we've dealt with a lot of water here. Ian pushed a lot of water up the sound, and the ocean was running 10 to 12 feet here. This will make almost a week of overhead surf, and we're getting squeezed from both sides with so much water being in the sound. When the remnants of Ian came by a couple, 3 days ago, the water already had nowhere to go. So we're looking into the fall and winter with some concern and some angst that it can be inconvenient at times to keep up with your lives off island if you've got doctor's appointments and things like that. So just encourage everybody, if you're going to be coming to Hatteras and the weather's a little sketchy, or if you're coming off of Hatteras, just drive safely and allow appropriate time. And as they're still working on the Road Anthe Bridge as well. So it's not the quick trip we sometimes got spoiled by in years past. It's going to take longer these days. That's really all I have. Good meeting today. Thank you. There were some real superstars in county, the Rankin County employees today, and it was enjoyable to watch.
Thank you, Commissioner Couch. Speaking of ocean overwater, Bobby, I presume we're doing pre and post at Buxton and Avon in case we've potentially lost some of what
Yes, sir.
what they've done.
They have done the post-nourishment survey work has been done. We had a meeting with them earlier this week, and so we know what our quantities were. If we get a federal declaration and we have lost, then we have the opportunity to get reimbursed for that.
Super. Good deal. Commissioner Bateman.
Yes, sir. About the middle of the month, I went to a combination Rotary of all the Rotaries on the Outer Banks. They did a presentation with Dr. Martin, which is a cardiovascular surgeon and inventor. And he's developed a very, very easy process to screen for cardiovascular disease. And he's partnered with the Rotary down here. And what their attempt is to screen 12,000 Dare County residents over the period of the next few years. And what this program does, it provides free vascular screenings to any patient over 60, any patient over 50 with risk factors of cardiovascular disease, smoking, diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol problems, and also anyone over 40 that's a diabetic. And they do that very familiar to a ultrasound kind of thing to check the carotid artery and the 4 major targets in your body. The program is open as of next Monday. I called the number yesterday to try to get my name on the list to get the service. And it was told then they were going to open it then. So when I get more information, get a number, I'll forward it to Dorothy. Maybe we can put it on the website and get the word out. But what this guy said in the presentation was Tim Ratner, who was I believe, the gentleman that used to be Meet the Press. He had a treadmill and a stress test 2 days before he had a massive heart attack. And according to all the information he had no problems at all. But he had clogged arteries. And so it's something we all need to look at.
So when you call that number, you'll be able to make an appointment?
As of Monday, yes, sir.
This coming Monday?
This coming Monday.
Cool.
And I had the number written down, and it was in my other folder.
Yeah, if you'll text that to us.
I will,
absolutely.
yeah. And I'll get the brochure that they have, and I'll forward it to Dorothy. We can put it on the website.
Super.
Very helpful program.
And just, excuse me, but that is a very simple test. It's very quick.
Yeah.
It's done very quickly. And it's literally something everybody ought to do. I mean, it is a lifesaver, and it is pretty simple.
It's a big thing for Rotary to come up and.
Where will they actually do it?
They have 3 or 4 sites that they've
Okay.
planned.
Okay.
I think a couple of them, to be honest with you, I think they're at the College Alamo.
Oh, wow, okay. Good
Yeah,
deal.
with this new device he's got, you just kind of shoot,
It's quick.
and you're done.
You got a software on your iPhone or mobile phone that you put this software into, and this device that maybe put some salve or something on your neck here, and he just does that thing up down like that, and then it shows up on the screen whether you have what percentage of,
Wow.
if any, of blockage that you have.
Wow.
It's pretty ingenious.
Yeah, I knew y'all went to the presentation.
I didn't get to that one. I got to one about 2 or 3 months ago when you first came down
Right.
here, and it's quite interesting.
Wow.
The information is forwarded to your family physician, then you go for a consultation, if there's any problems, and they'll direct you to someone to help you out.
Cardiologist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
wow.
The other thing is, we had, yesterday, Chief Justice Newby, Manager Alton was there, and I had the opportunity to be there. And he really, he thanked all the employees we have at the Justice Department for all the hard work they did. He was doing a 100-county tour from Murphy to Dare County, and we were the last one, and he chose us. He saluted Jerry for, Judge Tillett for all he's done for the community, as well as all the employees. And he spoke very, very highly of Recovery Court, which is Manager County Commissioner Oberman has done a lot of work on that. And so we appreciate his comments yesterday very much so. We had the Walk of Addiction. We had a little 5K race there. It was a great time there, great folks there to get the awareness out about the debilitating disease of alcohol and substance abuse. A lot of participation there, so that was a success. And I attended the day at the docks, and it was a lot of fun down there. Had a good time.
Yeah, back, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah. And they had a lot of participation.
Good
A
deal.
lot of people there. That's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, I'd like to congratulate our service pin recipients, Brent and Josh, and our employee of the month, Stephen, who's still here. Stephen, again, thank you. Fantastic. In September, along with Commissioner Tobin and County Manager, attended the ASBPA conference, and we heard a lot of good presentations on how other states and other counties are handling beach issues, and I'll put that on a large blanket because beach issues covers a lot of ground. But at that conference, our county manager presented on the Dare County model on how things are financed here, and folks could not believe how we did. There was a gentleman there from Hawaii who kept questioning that did the state give us any funding at all? And he was almost in disbelief when Bobby told him, no, we don't get any. I think Bobby, that was the second time he'd had to say it. But anyway, they were in kind of disbelief of that. But it was a very good conference, and enjoyed being there. On Friday, September 23rd, in Wanchese, there was a video presented regarding Oregon Inlet and the need for jetties. And this is one of a multi-part series of videos with interviews longtime users of the inlet, fishermen, boat builders. A lot of people are in these videos, and basically those videos ultimately wind up going into the economic importance of Oregon Inlet, and the primary theme of it is the need for jetties to stabilize or help stabilize the inlet. As Irvin mentioned, on September 24th, the 13th annual Walk Against Addiction was held at First Flight High School, and it was quite well attended. He mentioned a 5K. I did not participate in the 5K because that was only a one-day event, and it would probably taken me at least 2 days to have completed a 5K. So, in the interest of time and my own sanity, I didn't fool with it. Then on Tuesday, the 27th, at First Flight High School, a town hall was held on the subject of suicide prevention, and a very powerful video documentary was shown having people who had attempted or had been affected by suicide in Dare County. A number of vendor tables were set up that gave out literature on suicide prevention, and again, it was a very well-attended town hall. Commissioner Ross was there as well, and some of the personal accounts that were given by people who spoke with a panel of folks that were more or less experts on the subject, what was quite moving. But that was a town hall that we did that turned out I think some good information was passed. And lastly, let us not forget our fellow Americans who have been so severely affected by Hurricane Ian, and let's keep them in our thoughts and prayers. That's all I have.
Amen. Thank you, Vice Chairman. Commissioner House?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to be back. Sorry I missed the last meeting. It's kind of unavoidable. I had to go out of state, and it was not really a fun trip, but it was a necessary trip. Also at that meeting, Alana Harrison came up from Buxton and was talking about the blue catfish that have invaded our sounds. Yes, there is a problem. The Division of Marine Fisheries is aware of the problem. They're trying to do some studies and find out exactly what can be done about it. This was a catfish that was introduced into the Chesapeake area and came down the Chesapeake-Albemarle Canal and is now into Currituck Sound, Albemarle Sound, and also Roanoke Sounds.
What is the origination of this species of catfish? Do you know, Steve, the original country? Introduced from?
Up north.
Yeah, from up north.
Okay.
Yeah. And they are an invasive species, and just like with any, like sharks and alligators, they're prehistoric animals, so is the catfish. So they do have a very lengthy survivability. And they do get very large, and they are a very, if you're a recreational fisherman and you hook into one, you know you've got a fight on your hands. They are a very strong and active fish. So with that being said, like I said, the Marine Fisheries Division knows that the problem is here. They're actually looking at developing some type of a plan to help with that issue. Week before last, the Division of Marine Fisheries also put out a proclamation. Striped bass in the Albemarle Sound is closed.
It's ridiculous.
The entire season is closed. The quota for 25,000 pounds, that's allotted for us. As of, I have my notes here, so far this year, and that's just for the Albemarle Sound, the total is between the Albemarle and Roanoke River is 51,000 pounds, 216. So far this year, 35,520 pounds have been caught and harvested, mainly coming out of the Roanoke River during the spawning season. And also when they did the stock assessments, the stock assessments are very low. And Division of Marine Fisheries also recognizes, and I won't say this is the first time they've recognized it, but it's also one of the first times they've actually really came out with it. They believe that the stock assessment has been affected not by overfishing, but by environmental impacts. So they're looking at, they're not quite sure what's going on with striped bass right now. They're doing some extensive studies on it, and but unfortunately, it is closed, and there's no pursuit into reopening it because the Division of Marine Fisheries has no intentions of doing that, and it will be brought up at the next Marine Fisheries Commission meeting. So I just want to make everybody, clear of what was going on with fisheries right now. I think it's kind of, and I talked to Director Rawls about this, and I basically told her that, so it's fine if the Roanoke Rapids area has their striped bass season, and even though we're under quota, we can't have ours. And her comment was, well, you had it open during the spring. Well, the spring, they opened it on March 3rd, closed it on March 14th. It's 11 days. And also during those times, in March, the striped bass are not in Albemarle Sounds, they're in the rivers. And she agreed with that. And so I've told her that has caused a major economic impact to our area, and I would like to see that study presented as they are supposed to by statutory requirements anytime they do a restriction. We'll see if that happens. So I just want to make y'all aware of what's happening on our fisheries right now.
Steve, how do they answer the question of why it makes sense to have a season on spawning fish? If you have, if you're having an issue with the biomass of a particular fish, why do you allow fishing in of the spawning fish? That's about like makes about as much sense as a football bat.
I agree with you. When that was brought up in our resolution, when I presented that to the commission, amazingly, they said there's 3 other states that allow fishing of the striped bass on the spawning grounds during spawning season. And I went back and looked, it is not.
We don't fish in 3 other states. We fish in this state.
Exactly.
I want to know why it makes sense in this state.
Exactly. And also to that effect, you do have one commissioner on the Marine Fisheries Commission that runs a striped bass charter boat for the Roanoke River.
Did he vote?
Yes.
Not surprising.
So that's what we're up against. A little bit better news. This weekend is the Outer Banks Jeep Invasion. You will be seeing many Jeeps all over the place. Just want to make y'all aware of it. And it's going to be huge this year. I can guarantee you that. Our day in history also relates a little bit back to Dare County as well. 1905, you might remember this name, Wilbur Wright, made a circling flight on flyer number 3. And this was proposed to be the aircraft that sustainable flight was capable. And on this day, 1905, he did a circular flight, 24.2 miles in 39 minutes, 23 seconds. The only reason why he landed, ran out of fuel. So the Flyer 3 was the first plane that actually could sustain flight. And on a better news, and one of our most enjoyable parts of any commissioner meeting, meet Piglet, our pet of the week.
Our pet of the week for this week is Piglet. Piglet was a transfer in from another county as they no longer had room for her. Piglet is very shy at first, but when she warms up to you, she has the best personality. She could play fetch for hours and loves to be loved upon. Piglet does have to be the only animal in the home. She wants all the attention for herself. To adopt Piglet or foster one of our other animals, you can come visit us Monday through Friday at our shelter located in Manio. For more information, visit our website at www.obxspca.org or visit our OBX SPCA Facebook page.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner House. Commissioner Ross?
Thank you for that video, Steve.
You're
If
welcome.
you notice the play yard that they were
Yes.
playing catch in,
Yes.
that's pretty neat.
Yes,
That's a
it is.
recent addition to our shelter. Thank you, County Manager, for your efforts on that behalf. And they now have a very accessible, very nice play yard for the dogs right across the parking lot from the shelter. So I'm very pleased to see it being utilized. The Outer Banks, just a couple of minor announcements here. Outer Banks Community Foundation will be hosting the Backyard Bash on October 15th at the Outer Banks Brewing Station. Free event. Everybody come by and have a good time. The Councils of Government meeting will be held tomorrow and Friday. I'm looking at County Manager. The Albemarle Commission, Mike Irvin, who is our director there, and the board that I sit on, is acting as host. And they will be meeting here in our building, and I think for the first time in Dare County, I don't know, for a long time, maybe ever. So anyway, that's going to be an interesting meeting. I'm going to try and stop by and say hello, and thank you to County Manager for agreeing to speak to them and open up the meeting.
That's at what time?
Tomorrow morning, I believe it's at 9 that they open, Bobby. I'm pretty sure. Thursday at 9. And lastly, I had a chance to tour with Dave Halleck, the Rodanthe beachfront homes that have been in such jeopardy. He and I went out about a week ago, and my goodness, they were occupied, rented, and the ocean, the breakers were breaking underneath the houses against the pylons, and exposed pipes and exposed septic tanks, and the renters seemed oblivious to the whole thing. In fact, one said, absolutely, that's why I rented it, because I can walk out on the deck and watch the ocean go under the house.
Have they seen that one fall in?
I mean, Dave and I were just sort of dumbfounded by the whole thing, but it is a complex problem that I know he's focused on, and I just share that, guys, because there have been, as we know, houses that have collapsed, and there could be more. So I don't know what the answer is, but it is a dicey situation in Rodanthe.
Commissioner, he's actually pursuing funding to try to purchase those
Yeah.
homes.
Yeah, I didn't go down that road in my comments, but yeah, he mentioned that. I didn't want to put him, but yeah, I'm hoping something can be done, because ultimately the outcome is they fall in and we have a 5-mile debris field
Right.
up and down the national seashore. So that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and that community foundation, that's a 40th anniversary.
This is a different one.
Oh, you look at,
This is a Backyard Bash. There is a separate 40th
Oh, yeah,
anniversary
I
on a
got
different date in
I
November.
got you. I
Yeah.
thought they were hosting that at the same time.
Yeah, easily
But
confused,
that's,
sir, but yeah, it's different.
That's pretty incredible, though, 40 years of that
Yeah,
community
I agree.
foundation. And
I
I don't
agree.
know, what are we looking at, Dorothy? Over $20 million in that?
David's serving on the board now.
What does
He
that mean,
probably
Dave? Over
knows.
20 mil?
Close.
For the last 6 weeks, it was 25.
25, wow. Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty impressive
pretty
stuff.
impressive stuff. Thank you, Commissioner Ross. Commissioner Tobin?
Well, it's good to be back from vacation.
Yeah.
I spent 10 days in part of my old stomping grounds in California, and we had a really good time. We saw the tallest trees on earth. We saw the oldest trees on earth. We saw the tallest mountain in the contiguous United States.
When you say California and you saw trees, do they have any left?
Yes, we saw
With all the
remnants,
fires.
a lot of remnants of fire, and we flew over the mosquito fire, which was the last active one
and we flew right over it coming in, and it was out. I mean, there was a couple smoldering areas, and it was completely extinguished by the time we left. But yeah, there's a lot of fire damage everywhere. But it's good to be back. And as Wally had said, we went to the ASPBA thing, and the only thing that I'd like to add to what Wally said was we were told by several people that we were the poster child in the United States of beach nourishment. And it was true about.
That's pretty
they
impressive.
Could not,
That's darn impressive.
They could not believe, like Wally said, that we didn't get state funding, that we were basically doing it ourselves. And so hats off to everybody that's involved in that. That's really all I have. And thank you, back to
Jim.
I appreciate y'all going to that. I know that was quite an event, and it's I'm sure we picked up some info from other states, and hopefully we can take advantage of using as well. But hopefully they can follow our model and have some successes with nourishment in their areas. So, all right, that brings us to manager attorney's business. County manager.
Yes, sir, several things. One is I'll follow up on the housing in Rodanthe that Commissioner Ross was talking about. Have been multiple meetings with all stakeholders, the federal government, the Park Service, us, and everyone's actively involved trying to find solutions. There's problems with both the local statutes, the state statutes, the federal rules, trying to make all that work together. They're all doing that at a higher level than us. The Secretary of DEQ was down at those meetings, again, working towards that. From our end, we've had Barton working on some grant opportunities to see if we can make them fit with what they call in-core money to try to find some maybe buyout opportunities like that. We've got a meeting coming up about that in the next week or 10 days, and we'll see how that goes. So there are a lot of things going on at a lot of levels to try to resolve a problem that's not easy to resolve. So just be aware that a lot of things are going on behind the scenes, and people aren't just standing there watching houses falling and doing nothing. So we'll see how all that pans out. With regard to the ASPBA conference, I'll echo some of what's been said, but we go to these things and we try to learn some things, and we usually do pick up some things, but the overreaching thing that we found was, and I'll brag a little bit on our staff, is that we didn't get anything that we hadn't already thought of. And there were a lot of things that we do that they hadn't thought of. And so it really helps us to confirm things that we make to make sure we're doing things right and doing things the right way when we go to these things and find out they're looking to us for answers. And we're finding that as we go, there's 3 or 4 days of meetings that occur every hour, and you go to all these seminars, and all the things that we hear and see and do are things that we've already either done or things that we've considered and ruled out because they don't work or whatever. We're not reinventing the wheel, and that's really helpful to us as we plan to go forward. From some action items for you all, one is I have a budget amendment for some $416,000, $416,354 from the Sheriff's Department. It's a grant they received for the Investigation Office Training, Crisis Intervention, and other items to facilitate a task force related to human trafficking. And I just need you to approve a budget amendment to get that into his budget.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve by Commissioner House. Seconded by Commissioner Couch. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And then lastly, the legislature, we have the state funds our dredging projects throughout the state at a 1/3, 2/3 cost share. We pay the 1/3, they pay the 2/3. In the last session of the legislature, they changed that cost share to 75%, 25%. So now we only have to pay a fourth. That means our funds will go further and we can do more dredging. Some of the contracts and the things that we have with the state refer to the old 1/3, 2/3 thing, and one of those is the funding for the Miss Katie that they share in the dredging with that. And so I have a resolution that basically changes that to the new 75, 25% cost share. I need you all to approve that resolution so we can get that in and get the new cost share for the dredging that Miss Katie's going to do for us. You'll see some more of these with our projects as we go forward, but this is the one related to Miss Katie.
Okay. Move to approve.
Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
By Vice Chairman, it's been seconded. Was that, can you, Commissioner Tobin?
Yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And that's all I have, except that we do need a closed session
We'll
at the
come back
appropriate
to
time.
item 13 in a minute. Before we move on, I meant to ask you under your report, Commissioner Tobin, did the drag-on part get in?
Yes.
For Ms. Katie?
Yes, everything's been repaired.
Super.
They've repaired, you know, it's funny. They found water in the 2 tanks that held the hydraulic fluid that ran the drag arms. And so the people who built the drag heads for us here in North Carolina, we had them build stainless steel tanks. And, you know, the people from Conrad were here. And they were going to go back. We're like, wait a minute, you know, this is going to get done. They go, there's no way you guys are going to get tanks built and replaced. And, well, guess what?
Wow, that's super. That's super.
I'm behind on
They
this
got it
subject.
done.
Yeah.
I'm not quite up to speed.
That's
May
great.
I ask for a 30-second update, what we're talking about? I don't know.
Well,
what we're
one of
There
the
were hydraulic
drag-
issues with one of the drag arms. And when they looked into it, there had been water intrusion
Yes,
into
sir.
the hydraulic system.
Yes.
So they had to be, the pumps had to be rebuilt. You know, you had to get all the water out of that
Right,
system.
of course, yes.
So in the course of doing that, they took water samples from the storage for where the hydraulic fluid is and found water in
Water in there.
one of those, impossible water in the other. And out of, you know, being cautious, they replaced both of those.
Do we have a tentative timetable for,
It's done.
It's done.
do we have a tentative timetable for when the actual operation of the dredge might occur? Where it might be ready to go, like?
It's running.
It's running.
Yeah,
It's
it's
running.
running.
Yeah.
It's
operating right now.
Yeah, it's
Right.
running.
Jim, were those valves, we're talking about the valves that are with the drag arms? Wasn't that a valve issue ultimately?
They're not really sure where the intrusion came from, whether it was, you know, who knows? It rained a lot there when they were doing all the installation, all that stuff, so who knows?
Okay.
Well, that's good news that they got that resolved and they're back out there.
And very quickly,
Yeah.
very, very quickly.
Thank you, Commissioner. Public Information Office, Ms. Hester, do you have anything for us?
Chairman, you mentioned the Community Day and the christening for the Miss Katie.
Right.
Next Thursday, the 13th. So
Right.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. And that release and invite has gone out, and Caitlin will continue to share that. But encourage people to attend. And you all were speaking about beach nourishment, and one of the things Great Lakes mentioned in their meetings was that when they were working in Buxton and Avon, they had never really seen a community embrace a project the way that our locals, you know, those who live here, and even the visitors did. And I think they were laughing about how they turned on the radio and got an update about the project. So I thought that was, because they go a lot of places and they're doing a lot of projects, and they really were complimentary in those meetings that I attended about that. So I just, and that's a combination of our More Beach to Love and the radio state, just everybody getting behind it.
Well, they're a class operation, because, I mean, they did exactly what they said. They got in here in June and they were out in August, and I mean, they, not only Buxton and Avon, they did Nags Head, so could not be more pleased with that company.
I agree.
And the way they work.
A couple other things. The PR team was in drone training last week. We had 3 days at Emergency Management. Emergency Management has acquired a very nice drone that they'll be able to put in use for various reasons, particularly with the tax office and such. But Drew is putting together the plan for the use of that, so he's putting together a cadre of employees that are certified. So the next step, we've taken the course, our next step is to take the federal test. But that was pretty interesting, a lot of aviation knowledge that was totally new to me. So it's always interesting to learn something. I see Bobby laughing.
Do they offer the 107,
You have to go to COA in Elizabeth City.
Okay, so we don't do that
A
here.
federal testing
Yeah.
center, yeah. So we'll be doing that. And I think there were 18 of us. So tax office, our IT department, a number of employees, but we all participated. Because for us, for marketing purposes, it's always.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, sir.
We submitted a company that submitted a waiver for a FAA route between Beaufort County and Dare County. And that's going to be significant for us going forward, particularly in terms of emergency management. Weather is very germane to what we do here in Dare County, so it's exciting stuff. I mean, you know, everybody thinks of just drones, like maybe bringing something, but this is going to be the wave of the future. You've got Amazon paying attention to it, UPS, DHL, all these guys. There may be a time in our lifetime that, you know, when you've ordered something from Amazon Prime, something's going to come out of the air and drop it on your porch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really exciting stuff. It's going to be along the lines of impact on society as, you know, cell phones and.
It is, it's
Just a
amazing.
video alone that you get from a drone is incredible. I mean, it's some pretty accurate, I mean, it's some pretty credible.
Well, Hosey's taking a look at it as well. I mean, it can really help us with, in the tax department.
Right.
You know, instead of having to go out.
We got an emergency management grant to get it, and we bought it, and at the last staff meeting, I threw it out to the staff, and I wasn't sure who was gonna do what, and was very much surprised how they embraced it. We have as Dorothy said, 18 people from various departments coming in that think they have a use for it, when we were thinking really it would be an emergency management tool, and it'd be a post-disaster tool, but it has lots of uses
Right.
beyond that, and our staff has embraced that, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, with drone technology, especially like with, that's coming along, drones are actually now being used in ocean rescue,
Yes.
where they have a life-saving device, flotation device
Think
mounted up
about that.
underneath the drone.
That's amazing.
And flies out to the swimmer and drops it.
They flew one into
I
Hurricane Ian.
saw that on TV.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And there's
Fishing too.
Yep, and there's a couple of ocean rescue organizations here on the Outer Banks that's actually looking at trying to purchase one.
As we get our feet wet in the drone thing, there's a professor down at Florida State who spoke at one of the conferences we went to. I think it was the hurricane conference that you and I went to.
Right.
And that's what he does. He consults on drone technologies for local governments down in the southeast. And from drones, there's all kinds of different kinds of drones to drone software and so on. As you go through and listen to him, the uses are limitless.
Yeah.
There are so many things that could be done that you hadn't thought of or we hadn't thought of. And so I'm like Commissioner Couch, it's going to expand, and as our people get more comfortable, they're going to learn more, and then there are going to be more demands and more needs for that as we go forward. So I'm glad we're getting started and getting our feet wet.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, Dorothy?
Last item would just be the redesign of our website. That's been a huge undertaking, and you all know Caitlin and I, she's here, spoke to you all about it a few months ago, but that's moving forward, and we should have that up. We're saying the end of November, it may be December.
Remember the 3 keys: on
Yes.
time, on budget, doesn't
You
work.
can-
Pick 2.
Realtors ought to love it because you can actually use it. You can click on a button and you can find out what the value of a property is on an open market.
Yeah.
And the more you mess with it, a lot of people were groaning and moaning, but the more you use it, it's actually, there's floor plans on it.
Yeah, that's the new sheet that's available
Yeah.
that the tax department has put up. But we should have the new design up and running in a couple of months. And at that same time, we're going to encourage people to use our .gov domain address or website address. So the old one will still point to the new one, but we are going to move towards a .gov for various reasons. So just a couple of things we're looking forward to in the coming months. And then we're starting, I mean, this year's moving so quickly, we'll be looking at a state of the county
Yeah, and we
in
we
early
already-
January.
We
so-
already have a date set.
Yeah,
and
so we're
actually
looking at
gonna
that.
go back, hold a public meeting, first time we've been able to do this in a couple of years. And we'll do that at
Go back to in-person at Captain George's.
At Captain George's, and we have a date. What was the date you told me to?
I just sent them an email today. I'm not
We'll
sure,
get-
but I'll
we'll
send
get
that
it
to
out
you.
to the board,
I have
but,
it tentatively on there.
Dorothy and her staff and myself are starting to work on that, so.
But time is just flying. My dad, who's 90, says, just wait. But I just am amazed at how the time is moving. This year has just flown by.
Yeah, it's flown by.
That's
Thank
all
you.
I have.
Thank you, Dorothy. Finance Director, Mr. Clausen, do you have anything else for us?
Yes, sir. I want you to tell me that what I did yesterday was okay. Last week, we got notified that there's another pot of American Rescue Plan money coming to the county. It's local assistance and tribal consistency fund for eligible revenue sharing counties. So it's every county that had National Park Service land or U.S. Fish and Wildlife land, and that was 53 in North Carolina. And the amounts go from $50,000 to Swain County gets $1.5 million.
Wow.
We're the sixth highest, and we're going to get $523,125 this fiscal year. And I went ahead and accepted the terms and conditions because they're very not restrictive. They've waited until all the rules were done. The only restriction you have is it has to be for an expenditure after March 15th of 2021. There's no deadline, and you can't use it for lobbying. And that really is it.
El Rio Verde continues.
Well.
Spanish for Green River, Mary Helen.
I did get some information on it. The idea behind it was that we get about $250,000 a year out of the refuge revenue sharing program, but this was intended to make up for past what they called underfunding. Our maximum we could get is $518,000 a year. We've never gotten more, well, at least in the last 10 years, never gotten more than $250,000. So
Wow.
at least that was the thinking behind it. So
Yeah, good news.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing that, Dave. Anything else?
no, sir.
Vice Chairman has something he'd like to share.
Yeah, I was remiss in not mentioning this. I sent everyone an email this morning regarding a tentative visit by Attorney General Josh Stein on October the 20th. In the afternoon, he's going to be here for, he says, about an hour. And basically to talk about opioid settlement funds and to also find out how the county is handling those funds. He's asked for a number of folks to be invited to that, and Dorothy and I are working on putting together an invitation. So that's 2 weeks from tomorrow. It'll be in the afternoon, probably 2 to 3, something like that. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, something like that. But anyway, wanted to mention that so that you could put it on your calendars if you're interested.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. All right, that brings us to item 13. I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3 to consult with our attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege in reference to Dare versus McKenzie opioid suit and to approve the minutes of the last closed session.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, add to that two things. Add the Blackburn suit.
Okay.
And also pursuant to GS 143-318.11A5 to instruct the county staff or negotiating aides concerned the position be taken by or behalf of the county negotiating the price or other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property in the property described in Book 1342, page 149.
Okay. We had those additional 2 items to the motion to go into closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bateman and House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. I'll call the Dare County Board of Commissioners meeting back to order and turn it over to the county manager.
In the closed session, the board approved the minutes of the last closed session, gave guidance to the county and received information from the county attorney with regard to the opioid litigation and the Blackburn suit, and instructed the county staff concerning position to be taken on behalf of the county in negotiating the price and other material terms of a proposed contract for the acquisition of real property, and took no other action.
All right, thank you, County Manager. That concludes our meeting for today. I need a motion to adjourn until 9 a.m. on November the 7th.
So moved.
So motion by Commissioner House. Is there a second? Second by Commissioners Tobin and Ross. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
I'm on the board. You got one.